Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
What-a! Hello! God, it's good to be back. I'll tell you guys something. 5 days. I don't watch any BS news shows because I don't watch those anyways, but I stayed so far away from them, right? You would have thought that they were the Ebola virus. I didn't care about politics. I didn't care about anything other than the breaking news that I paid attention to. And the minute it started to get political in any way, shape, or form and somebody had an opinion, click, off it went. Did not care. You know what? I feel amazing. My goodness, what the hell is wrong with us? Our tribalism is so insane. I got in extra early today. So I was excited, getting back, a few days off, got in extra early. And just to see the craziness. I was at church on Sunday, and they were talking about something like healthy conflict. This is a relationship series. This is a good series. And talking about healthy conflict. We don't have healthy conflict in this country anymore. We have tribalism with the it's my way or the highway attitude. We have tribalism with this is what I'm going to deliver to you, which is my beliefs. I do not want to hear about your beliefs. I do not want to hear where you are coming from. I do not even want to see it from your angle for a second to try to have an understanding of what's happening. Can you imagine if our relationships were like that? And many of them become like that, right? Marriages, businesses, partnerships. What ends up happening? Goes to hell in a handbasket. Goes to hell in a handbasket. I want to know when somebody else has a belief that's different than mine, what it's about. I want to understand, right? I don't care what it is. It could be guns. It could be climate change. It could be anything. I want to know where they're coming from. I think we should all want to know that. But we don't. We don't at all. The most successful guy to ever coach the game of football is still coaching right now. Bill Belichick coaches New England Patriots. They may once again be in the Super Bowl this year. He wants to know everything about the other team he faces. Everything. The good, the bad. He wants to break it down. He wants to make adjustments. One of the greatest things about him in football is at halftime, he makes adjustments like nobody's business. Last year, they won the Super Bowl. Sean McVay, the youngest coach in football, he's Doogie Howser of football, right? He's the Doogie Howser of football. Said, I got so outcoached in the Super Bowl. Yeah, you did. So that's wisdom, knowledge. But he knew everything about what you were going to do. He came up with a game plan. But he studied everything that you were about. And he had respect for what you could do. We don't do that anymore. We don't listen to what other person has to say. This weekend, these 5 days, were so refreshing in the sense that I didn't want to argue with anybody. And it's so amazing. You could tweet out, I'm just enjoying my vacation. Somebody, you've never worked a day in your life because you're a loser. It's like, wow, dude, you just need to get a life. It is amazing how tribal we are. I shouldn't be surprised, but I just sit back and think, God, that is no way to live your life. That kind of anger. And it's on both sides, by the way. Both sides. Nobody wants to hear from the other side. Nobody does. And we should want to know. Why do you feel the way you feel? Because the problem is, somebody feels that you're this, right? So they're going to label you. You're a Nazi, you're anti-this, or you're homophobic, or you're whatever it is. And they're never going to hear your side. And vice versa, why they feel that way. And rather than sit down as an individual and say, well, let's not just group everybody in together, because not everybody who voted for Trump is not a racist, right? They just feel that way. And they blanket you that. And rather than have a conversation, they're going to label you because in their mind, they think exactly that rather than actually hear you and vice versa. And it's a joke. It really is. Good God, it's a joke. It's embarrassing the way that we act at times. It is. I watched some stuff this morning about, the straight pride parade and a bunch of different little things. And I just sat there and I laughed my ass off. Right? Just watching people yelling at each other, not understanding what something's about. And it's crazy. It's crazy because nobody was listening because they're too busy listening to their own voice and their own beliefs to think maybe I don't have all the answers. Let me tell you something, guys. I don't have all the answers. I don't. I like to think I've got a few answers. I like to think I got some different ideas, but I don't have all the answers. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, Dorian.
It looks like it'll be here along Florida's Space Coast that Hurricane Dorian will make its closest pass. The eye will likely be just offshore in the next day or so, and people here are getting ready. Evacuation notices are up along the barrier islands, and for anybody living in mobile homes or low-lying areas, stores are closed and buildings are boarded up. Alex Stone, ABC News, Melbourne, Florida.
Poor Alex. Every time I talk to Alex, he's in one of these places. So Dorian is now a Category 2. It is floundering at best, right? And it's one of the things that makes it so dangerous is what it did to the Bahamas, which was it wasn't fast moving. So it was able to destroy things at a slow pace. Now, currently, it's sitting and slowly creeping, and where it's going to go and what it's going to become, God only knows, right? But something for sure. Is it going to be a tropical storm? But this is another one of those things where the politics of it all just makes you sit there and shake your head. And you're like, okay, we can't even, let's get through whatever's going to take place, right? We've seen what's happened in the Bahamas. We've seen the destruction of the Bahamas. Let's get through that. Let's get through this. And then if you want to have the politics of it all, well, did you see Trump was golfing? I saw Trump was golfing. Well, I hope his home gets destroyed. Whatever. I don't care that he was golfing, right? What did you expect him to go out there with a sword and fight it? Well, he's going to drop nuclear bombs or something. It's just like, my God, you guys just can't take a deep breath and say, let's focus on the here and now and what potentially is happening. No, because you got to make everything politics. Everything is politics, politics, politics. And everything's not politics. You only make it politics because that's the game that everybody wants to play. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. By the way, speaking of politics, they are back today. And yes, one of the big things they're going to be taking up is guns. And where this thing is going to go when it comes with guns, I do not know.
Another very sick person. So I just want to thank everybody involved. And always you say, as bad as it was, it could have been worse. But it was certainly bad. Very, very sad situation.
Yeah, very sad situation. What took place over the weekend. 7 dead. A guy that, look, the background check was there. He failed it, I guess. Right? Not going to use his name. We don't use his name on the show. We do not do those kind of things. So what happened? Got a hold of gun? It's a loophole. It is what it is. He got a hold of something. He was pissed and angry. People talked about the fact that this guy was spiraling out of control for a while, right? For a while. He had threatened people over and over again.
He had been on the radar of police and the FBI in the minutes before the shooting. Neighbors of his also told us that he had threatened him with that AR-style rifle, perhaps the same one used in this massive shooting spree that killed 7 people, wounded over 20 in all of these different locations, terrorizing this city.
Yeah. And it was an ugly situation. How did he get a hold of him? That needs to be answered, right? And people are going to ask that questions, as they rightly should. Would background checks have helped any of this? Well, there was a background check. He failed the background check. He had real issues mentally, and he was able to get a hold of a gun, right? Just like criminals, guess what? They don't go about it the way that the average person goes about it. And over the weekend, the debate had started, people going about, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do all of these kinds. It's the politics of it all. But was this guy mentally disturbed? It looks to be like this guy was literally in serious troubles. They said he had been spinning out of control for a while. He had some real issues mentally. Should not have been able to get a gun. Was able to get a gun in some way, shape, or form. He was fired hours earlier from his job for whatever reason. I'm sure we'll find out because I've heard several different reasons. And what started out to be a routine traffic stop turned out to be a nightmare. for the people in Texas. Another pissed off, angry person? Another mentally ill person? Yes. But would anything have fixed this? That's the question that people are going to be asking. Would anything have sorted this out and fixed it? I don't know. I don't think so. I think people who are mentally disturbed, who want to do damage, in particular kill a bunch of people, are going to do that. Because that's what happens in this world. Bad people who want to do bad things and are hell-bent on doing it are usually going to do it. And sick people like this will find a way. And I don't know what that way was. I don't know if he had a bigger thing planned or not. Or if it just, this is it. This is what he decided. He got pulled over and away he went. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Hope you had a good, safe Labor Day. We all enjoyed ourselves. It's just nice. You know, it was nice. It's just nice not doing anything. It was nice just to be able to say, We live in a world of 1,000 miles an hour. There's a new study out right now at two universities in England talking about the patience threshold that we no longer have. Do you realize that we lose our patience after 16 seconds when a web page doesn't load, according to a new study? 25 seconds after a light doesn't change, we lose our patience. And we live in a world now because we want everything faster, faster, faster. I see that. It's crazy. And you wonder why we're so on edge all the time. Because we don't have any patience for each other, even for ourselves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter, Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
Coast Guard received a report of a vessel on fire with 34 people trapped below deck.
Oh, what an awful, awful, awful incident took place. Santa Cruz Islands, a world-famous dive spot. You've got a ship called the MV Conception, which has, I think, had over 400,000 people that they've chartered and taken out to these dive spots out on these islands. It's on the backside of it, not too far from land, but there was nothing anybody could do. This fire spread so fast. They're talking about it today, and it is a horrible situation that took place. This is Sheriff Bill Brown talking about the bodies, because originally there's 34 people, 5 people got off. They found a few bodies, but he's giving an update.
An additional 16 victims were located in yesterday afternoon's efforts and were brought back to our coroner's bureau. This makes in total 20 victims who have been recovered.
So you got 20 people dead. It looks like when all is said and done, there's going to be about 30 people, 29 people. It is, people are like, well, how did this happen? You know, it's a 75-foot boat. It's a boat that is people charter. They take it to these places in and around these islands, some of the best diving around. And it was just an incident. There was just, it's a poor design. In the end, there was no other way for them to get out. How fast it spread, they're going to take up everything. But as far as the operation of this boat, they have thumbs up. It was inspected last year. They've had a few minor things, but they've corrected them within days. Again, 400,000 people have chartered them. They've got several other boats. They operate this company. It is just an awful, awful situation. And you could see when you think about it, right? So you've got what took place in the world of the shootings, and everybody's talking about that. Very little press over something like this. And it's a horrible situation. It is. And it was just an incident that took place. And you hope to God they felt no pain. You hope to God that this and the horrible things they that smoke got to them, and that they didn't burn to death. But just a fast moving thing where there was really no way out. And you're going to have people that are going to have to answer some questions about this. But it was, they're saying it could have been everything from a dive tank exploding to, nobody knows exactly what happened. And the calls didn't come from the boat itself. The crew got onto another boat. Then we're able to make calls, I think, on another boat because it happened that fast. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Somebody just texted in and said, Chad, you make your living on politics. Here's the thing. I talk a little politics all day, but we talk about everything because that's life, right? Life is about that. Talking about everything, right? I listen to shows every once in a while. I'll flip around and I'll listen to some other radio shows. And I think to myself, I don't know how people talk about the same thing ad nauseum on a daily basis. Like, who's going to talk about this for 5 hours? Unless it's something massive, right? But they do. And they do it every single day. And it's the same thing over and over. You sit there and go, how do you do that? Like, would you do that with your friends? Like, you're hanging out. Like, this weekend, I'm going to barbecue. And people, I listen to your show, and I was like, oh, thanks. But we talked about all kinds of stuff. And you know what we didn't talk about? We didn't talk about politics. One person asked about Trump, but the rest of the time it was about other stuff. And I'm thinking that's what life is, right? Life is about other stuff. It's about your kids. It's about your business. It's about all those things. We overdo it, and we allow things like politics to become our identity anymore. And I think that is very bad for all of us, right? Who you worship, right? What you identify as, who you support. Those are just a piece of what makes the whole you. But we've allowed politics now to define us, and I don't think that's a good thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter. Did you see China's giving Hong Kong a warning? Said, you guys are getting pretty close. It's pretty close, and we're going to do something. What will the world do? Another day of disruption. Kate Stienle. Ready to hear this? We're going to touch on this as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The rhetoric that we've used, the thoughts and prayers that you just referred to, it has done nothing to stop the epidemic of gun violence, to protect our kids, our families, our fellow Americans in public places, at a Walmart in El Paso, in Sutherland Springs, in a church, 1 or 2 a day all over this country, 100 killed daily in the United States of America. We're averaging about 300 mass shootings a year. No other country comes close. So, yes, this is f***ed up.
Whoa! Beto O'Rourke right there. Beto's running for president, for you guys who don't know that. When he becomes president,
Americans who own AR-15s, AK-47s, will have to sell them to the government. We're not going to allow them to stay on our streets, to show up in our communities, to be used against us in our synagogues, our churches, our mosques, our Walmarts, our public places.
Yeah, not going to allow that. Don't worry though. It's a buyback, but it's mandatory. So really, it's a grab back. How about this? You want to buy my gun back? I get to set the price. Because here's the deal. You pay retail for taking my gun away from me, but then I want damages for you squashing on the Constitution and for you doing nothing but virtue signaling and promising the world. Here's my thing when it comes to the entire gun debate. You want all of this. You want this, and we're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of this. Okay, fine. Now, will you promise me that these guns are not in the hands of anybody else who hasn't done it correctly? I mean, you want it from law-abiding citizens, right? And there are a few out there that have issues and are pissed off and angry. Remember, it's a background check. It's not a future check, right? It's a background check. Like we used to always say in the world of finance, past performance is not indicative of future results. right? You could be fine today. 3 years from now, your life could totally look completely different, and vice versa. You can be angry today, and 3 years from now, your life could be totally different. So you want all of these things. Will you promise me and everybody else? That's it, right? Somebody else hasn't done something, got a hold of something, because you want to punish people. Can you promise that you will never reach for another thing again? You can't do that. That's why people don't trust you. That's why people don't trust the government. People always say, well, how do other countries do it? Simple. They trust their government a lot more than we trust ours. We're a very skeptical eye when we look at our government, and rightly so. Because over and over again, our government has been bought and sold by big business, by powerful people on both sides of the aisle. Right? Whether it's the NRA or unions or whatever, they've all been bought and sold. We don't trust. We don't trust. We don't. And that is our issue. When our founding fathers put the country together, they're like, we're probably not trustworthy as people think, so we better guarantee everything because somebody might reach. And people will. And there's that fear factor there. The what-if scenario. If we do this, what will you do? Well, here's the fear. You'll ask, hey, you know what? We did this, and it didn't work the way we thought, so we better go and ask you to give a little bit more. It's like every year, right? They come out and say, we need more money for schools. And we're like, we just give you money last year for schools? Didn't you just raise taxes for schools? Yeah, but this time we promise it's the last time. And then what is it? It's never the last time. Nothing ever sunsets. It never goes the way they say. That's why you can't be trusted.
What comes next, whether we actually see any major changes here, depends largely on the president. Republican lawmakers are looking to him for guidance and some political cover, but the president is sending mixed messages. He is promising some kind of action, but right now it is unclear what steps he's actually willing to support. After the shootings in Dayton and El Paso, the president pushed for meaningful background checks, but since then he seems to be backtracking. He said this shooting over the weekend hasn't really changed anything.
Yeah, and the question is, again, what would it have changed? Because if you got it in another way, so you got the background checks, you have all the things you want, but he still managed to get it in another way. So what would have changed? Can you promise people that you're not going to ask for any more? Can you because you can't promise people and keep that promise. You could promise them knowing full well that eventually you're going to come back for more. And if not you, somebody else further down the line will. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I do like hear it when you tweet at us. Oh, yeah, that's right, kids. So Dorian, I just love listening to people talk about like this who've been through it 1,000 times.
I think many of the people here just want to get it over with. They've been waiting for Dorian's arrival for a week. They've boarded up. Many have evacuated. The streets are pretty empty. Gas stations are shut down. They want Dorian to do its thing and to move on so they can get back to their lives.
Just so like, I got stuff. You guys are annoying me. Where are you? You promised. It's supposed to be here. One of my buddies, Joe Kelly at WDBO out in Orlando, posted something yesterday. Slowest moving hurricane ever. And he's joking about the fact he was supposed to have the weekend off and enjoy Labor Day weekend, and he had to because of Dorian. And then he posted a picture. It said Halloween, then it said Veterans Day, then it said Thanksgiving, and then it said Christmas and New Year's moving its way up the eastern seaboard because it is so slow. But while it's a bad and good thing, and here's the thing, even if it's a tropical storm and it is just absolutely slow, that could be horrible in this situation because it can drop so much rain in a short period of time. So it's going to be interesting to see where exactly it ends up because, you know, I mean, it could smash into Jacksonville or West Palm Beach or several other places along the way, and it could just kind of touch on the outskirts and then slowly go back out into the Atlantic and die. You just don't know.
The forecast track for the hurricane takes it roughly parallel to the coast, about 50 miles offshore. And on that track, hurricane force winds will come right up to the coast. If the track is off a little or the storm grows a little more, then hurricane force winds will indeed come ashore. Even on this track, tropical storm force winds will be expected from roughly Palm Beach or northward from there all the way up the coast to the Carolinas later in the week.
So we'll see. Isn't it weird? I find it to be fascinating. I haven't grown up in Southern California where we don't have, there's no warning for our natural disaster earthquakes. Right? There's no warning. There's no like, hey, they say, oh, we're working on it, and it never works the way it was supposed to. The last two big ones, it just never works the way it's supposed to, right? So there's no, but to me, I always find it very fascinating that it's like, all right, something's coming, but it's coming next Tuesday. So we got plenty of time. I'll get to, hammering and knocking some stuff down over here, putting some stuff up, boarding up the windows. We'll get all the stuff that we need. We'll get our supplies, and we'll decide Friday, maybe Saturday, if we decide if we want to stay and ride it out, or if we're just going to, hit the road. It's just, I find that so fascinating. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us.
Cancer now beats heart disease as the leading cause of death among adults 35 to 70 years old in high-income nations. Cancer is now responsible for twice as many deaths than cardiovascular disease. But in low- and middle-income countries, heart disease is still the number one killer. Researchers believe it's likely due to lower quality of health care, education, air pollution, and diet. The study appears in The Lancet.
Here's my thing. How does lower education give you cancer or heart disease? Well, Chad, because if you have lower education, you probably have, poor diet can do that, right? Can give you both. Right. Some of it's genetics. Let's be real. There's a reason that there's, people are out there studying genetics in a massive way. They say they're close right now to through CRISPR to finding a skinny gene where they can activate it inside of your body. That's where they are. So I'm just curious about how poor education can give you cancer or heart disease, right? That's not it. It's like, oh man, Jimmy died. What was wrong with him? He's stupid. Oh, he got the stupid? Yeah. He had a stupid heart attack. He had a stupid cancer. Oh, he got stupid cancer? That's the worst. No, it doesn't work that way. Again, poor diet, right? And producer Phil, you and I have been talking about this. It's not hard, right? It's like calories in, calories out. Some of it's genetics. You eat a little bit less, you work out a little bit more. What ends up happening usually when this happens, producer Phil?
Well, for me, I lose weight.
There you go. Like producer Phil's lost weight. He's lost like 15, 16 pounds. What has he done? Is he out working, sweating it out? Just change it? No, he's eating a little bit less. He's working a little bit more. Do the same thing. I play soccer 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times. Last week I played like 8 times. Where sometimes it's 30 minutes and then sometimes it's an hour. Played a couple games. And I try to say, okay, you know what? I'm not going to deprive myself of something I want. Try to eat a little bit better, a few more salads, a little bit less beef. But education never came into it. I can't help the fact that, it's silly. But that's the way people think about it. They're because we have to turn everything into a social movement now, right? You're fat because socially something's wrong with you. You're like, well, no, that's not. Wait, what? Yeah, no, that's stupid. It's crazy that people talk about things like that. I find that to be bizarre. And the people, somebody explained it to me how a poor education gives you cancer or heart disease. And people say, well, because you don't have money, so you have to buy other things. No, those are poor choices, right? Those are poor choices you make to go eat other places. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Walmart has announced that they are going to be discontinuing all sales of short barrel rifle ammunition that can be used with military-style weapons, discontinue sales of handgun ammunition, and stop all handgun sales in Alaska after the last month or so of shootings. So we'll see how that goes. I know Dick's tried it. In some areas, it was didn't really affect him. In other areas, it was a little bit tougher when they tried to do things like this. I'm just trying to think who's next. Is it Bass Pro Shop? Are they going to have to do something? Is it going to be? I don't know. Like, who else sells those things in mass quantities at a big store? So Walmart saying, we're getting out of this business. We're getting out of this. Virtue signaling, potentially. The reality is, though, they're looking around, and what have we talked about? What don't you want to be on? You don't want to be on the wrong side of the Twitter mob in this day and age. And if you have a chance to do something that may, in the end, stave off some of that Twitter mob, it's much better than a downturn. And they'll look at this, and if it goes south for them for a while, they'll slowly maybe implement it in certain areas, reselling these things. But it's just very interesting. See how fast they did this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Yeah, Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Oh, man, looking to save money? You should be. First thing you need to do is look around and go, where am I wasting a ton of money? Then you look and you go like, oh, my God, my credit cards. Look at this crap I spend on my credit cards. Look at the interest rates. What are you doing? So many things that are wrong with that. You know the average interest rate's like 19% APR? In many cases, it's way bigger than that. Right now, you can refinance with a credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. It is so easy. Get this. Loans from as low as 5.95% APR with autopay. Boom. How much is that going to save you? A ton. A ton. No fees. You can even get your money as soon as the same day, right? And they look, the way that Lightstream does this, and they're incredible. They look around, they say, look, you guys have good credit. You've done a lot of stuff. How about we help you? You can get loans as high as $100,000. And they deliver. It is amazing. And for my listeners, you can get a special interest rate discount. The only way to get this discount is go to lightstream.com/Benson. That's LIGHTSTREM.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% autopay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, the only place so far that the Mueller investigation hasn't deep probed for collusion.
Redacted! Redacted!
Stay tuned.
This is Chad Benson.
The president's not safe.
With no significant new Labor Day weekend releases to challenge it, Angel Has Fallen holds on to the #1 box office spot, earning a further $14.5 million in week 2 of release. And that also officially puts a cap on the summer box office season. The Lion King is the summer's top earner with $523.4 million domestically. Toy Story 4, Spider-Man Far From Home, Aladdin, and John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum round out the top 5.
Yeah, I went and saw a movie over the weekend. I went and saw a movie called Ready or Not. It was actually very interesting. It was a kind of weird, bizarre horror movie, action movie about a guy that gets married, and she marries into this weird family that's kind of like they make games for a living, like board games. And apparently, along the way, they've made a pact with the devil that you have to play a game to become part of the family. And the one game you don't want to get is hide and seek because they have to find you and kill you. It's just a very interesting movie. But it was a super quiet, like uber quiet summer. And when you think about like but look at the money though still. Avengers, $858 million here. Lion King, $523. Toy Story, Captain Marvel, still massive. And the Avengers, almost $3 billion worldwide. And this weekend, you've got It Chapter 2 that comes out that looks really good. So I might go see that. But just a quiet year in the movie world. It's not been anything spectacular. And the movie that's getting the most buzz, oddly enough, is not It. And it's not even the movie itself. It's The Joker. And a lot of people saying you're not going to like the way this is because it can make a Joker. But it's what we've talked about with all these angry, pissed off white guys. You watch, I've been talking about it since I saw the trailer. Like, this is what's going on in America right now. Somebody feels like a loser, who's pissed, who's angry, is going to take it back out on the world. And I have a feeling, I'm saying it now, I think he's going to win the Academy Award. Joaquin Phoenix, not River, because he's not in it, because he's dead. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Somebody just texted in because Walmart's saying they're getting rid of ammunition in certain areas across the board. They're going to stop selling handguns. Somebody says, well, how's that working out for Dick's? Actually, quite good. Revenues are up despite getting rid of their hunt products, as they call it, from 125 stores in March. So they say revenue is up. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Let me tell you something, guys. I love talking to you. And so many of you have said I've given to this organization. And this is Wounded Paw Project. If you don't know who they are, I want you to check it out. Average of 20 veterans a day commit suicide. And that's a sad fact. On top of that, thousands of dogs are being euthanized. This company has put together an amazing organization that rescue dogs and takes them from shelter dogs to service dogs and gets them to the men and women who need it, our first responders, their families, and our veterans. They need your help, though. They do. They need your unwanted vehicle, no matter what it is. They even take cash. But it is an amazing organization. I want you to check it out for yourself. Go to woundedpawproject.org and see what they're doing. See how they're changing lives, transforming lives in so many ways. WoundedPawProject.org, WoundedPawProject.org. You'll be saving a paw to save a life. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson, Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Now, is it really going to rock? I have no idea. Somebody who's there, who's living it. I love having him on. He sits in for me every once in a while. Paul Barsky, what's happening, Paul? How you doing, brother?
Hey, Chad, how are you? I am rocking like a hurricane because we didn't get hit with it.
Now, are you going to get hit with it? So you're out there, West Palm Beach, right? You know, WFTL, our beautiful station out there. You guys are, you know, I'm looking and I feel like it teases and then it runs away. It may stall. I mean, what's the best guess for you being our eyes and ears out there?
Well, here's what's happening. So you look at it, and it is a awesome scene in terms of just seeing the size of this thing, and it has been hovering over the Bahamas for the past 2 days and not moving and just knocking the hell out of them. My heart goes out to everybody there. It's just horrible, and that's the problem with this thing. It's just been sitting there, but it's far enough off the coast to where we're getting. We're getting tropical storm winds and some rain, but not anything near what it could have been. It was scary, man. It was when we first saw it, it was just sitting there and it was moving closer and closer and closer. And we didn't know where it was going. You know, it's kind of like, you remember when you were in grade school and the bully comes up to you and says, I'm going to kick your ass, but we don't know what day it's going to be. That's kind of what it's been. You're waiting for an ass kicking, and we're just sitting there waiting, and it hasn't happened, thank God. The meteorologists are saying that it is moving slowly north, but it's going 2 miles an hour. So, I mean, it can't get out of here fast enough, but this thing is monstrous.
It is monstrous, and that's the thing. You're looking at the cone, whatever it is, and how massive it is. They say they have 3 more, by the way, storms behind it lining up, which is just insane. The Bahamas is just absolutely destroyed. And I was telling people, and you've been through enough of these now, you know that even if it becomes a tropical storm, at the rate that it's moving, if it was to move over the coast and onto land, the damage it can do, even as a tropical storm, is massive. Because of the fact that it is so slow moving.
Oh yeah. I mean, you can't let your guard down with these things. And what I found with these things is that, you know, 1 minute it can be going toward you, next minute it's away. I mean, it changes path more times than not. So you can't be either freaked out or excited. You just have to wait and then just wait for it to move out of the area. So it is, it's got a life of its own. But I'll tell you what, I've been down here full time since 2012. And, I've been through at least a half dozen of these. We had 3 in a row in 2005, which was just crazy. But I have never seen anything that is so perfectly formed. It looked like someone painted it. The eye of the hurricane was perfect. It didn't even look real. And this thing was so compact that, it was scary, really, really scary.
It is scary.
We're talking about winds like 185 miles an hour up to 225 gusts. So you're looking at a hurricane that would have probably been rivaling Andrew, which decimated the Miami area, the Homestead. That's what we were looking at. So, we've had our fingers crossed, and thank God, it seems to be moving away. I don't know what it's going to do up the coast. I don't know where it's going to be once it leaves the Florida area. I don't know what happens after that. I'm sure it's going to be, a number of different situations in terms of rainstorms and tropical storm winds and that kind of thing. But I'm no meteorologist. I just know what I see, and it wasn't good.
No, it's not good. Talking to Paul Barsky, WFTL, out there in beautiful West Palm Beach. As we talk about this, you look around, how many people, because you've been through it, and so many people they just eventually say, you know what, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to hunker down. What's it like out there? Is anything open? I hear gas stations are closed, but a lot of other things are kind of open. Is it like a ghost town?
Well, you know what? I hit the road today for the first time. We headed into the station because we had been on. We were carrying long form programming with CBS 12, our news partner, and so for the first time, 95 was like it was. I had the whole road to myself basically. The gas lines were just crazy. They were, a half a mile long in some places. It was just nuts. The supermarkets are the Publix out of water day one. But people have been used to being proactive in these situations and not waiting for it to hit. So as soon as there's a word that something is coming, the bread aisle is gone, everything's out of there, the water's gone, the gas is gone. People sometimes hightail it out of here and they go across the state to the west side of the state. But this thing was so massive that people even on the west side, Tampa, Fort Myers, Naples, they were frightened that the thing was going to come over and just engulf the whole state. So that's a helpless feeling when you don't have gas and you don't know where to go. Then you just throw your hands up and go, all right, we'll just hope for the best. Expect the worst, but hope for the best.
Well, indeed, man. Well, you keep yourself safe out there. We'll talk to you soon. Paul Barsky, WFTL, out there in beautiful West Palm Beach. And it's crazy. And who knows? God willing, this thing will just slowly peter out and head back out in the Atlantic Ocean and die. Appreciate you coming on today, Paul.
All right, buddy. Be well.
Thanks, man. Oh, goodness me. It's huge. And he's right, Mandy. You look at this thing, and this thing is massive. And what we're talking about throughout the day is the fact that you don't know what's going to happen. And local matters, being in a situation where you've got everything in place matters. Your municipalities, your cities, your first responders. The feds are going to get there eventually, but how do you have yourself prepared? And I will say, if you look at any of the things in Freeport, any of the Bahamas, it looks like it is just decimated. There is nothing. It is frightening. And because of the slow movement of this thing, and it just kind of comes up and is like, I'm going to head back out. And then it comes back and it's like, I'm going to head back out. And then it could just stall. And it could, again, not become, and I was talking to somebody earlier today who's been through several of these, and they were talking, as we were chatting, and said, you know what, I would rather have a fast-moving hurricane that blows through quick than even a situation where it is a tropical storm and it dumps copious amounts of water that you just can't do anything about, and it just languishes for days, because what that can do is just as devastating. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. Walmart said, nah. As far as guns go, and the debate is on, they're going to be hearing about the debate as we move forward. We've got Congress back in session. What are they going to talk about? What are they not going to talk about as far as guns? Mitch McConnell's already said, look, I'm not going to do anything. We're not going to vote on anything until I have assurance from the president that he's going to sign something. And he goes here and he goes there. Nobody's really sure what the hell he's going to do based on what took place last week. You just don't know. And here's the reality. If I'm Mitch McConnell, too, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, even if he tells me that he would sign something, how serious is he going to be in signing something? Because he can change just like that. Walmart made a decision today to stop selling some ammo and guns across their stores.
Walmart CEO Doug McMillon telling workers that after the mass shooting at the company's El Paso store, he's decided Walmart will stop selling some short-barrel rifle ammunition that can also be used in military-style weapons and large-capacity clips. It will also stop selling handgun bullets and end handgun sales in the last state where Walmart offered them, Alaska.
Yeah, and the NRA is not happy about that. They're pissed off. The NRA's got a lot of problems right now. But they're looking around. They've seen what's happened with Dick's and Sporting Goods there and what they did. And they've seen what's taken place across the country in several places. And they're fighting a huge battle inside, which we don't know much about. That has a lot to do with the allocation of funds and Wayne LaPierre and his wife and several different things. And then you've got this. And there's a lot of frustration out there, and they're feeling like, hey, everybody's coming after us.
The NRA issuing a statement that it's, quote, shameful to see Walmart succumb to the pressure of the anti-gun elites and that gun buyers will choose other places to buy their weapons. Walmart announcing it's stopping some sales of ammunition that can be used in military-style weapons and high-capacity magazines.
Yeah, so they can go after them all they want. But we've talked about it ad nauseum here is there is a worry for CEOs across the country when it comes to things like social media and saying, hey, you know what? Is this really worth it? Is it worth it to us? Do we make enough money that this is worth it? Right? Do we? And in my Walmarts out here, you go in, they don't sell any guns in the Walmarts I'm in. I think they might have a few rifles, but I'm not even sure. They have like paint pellet guns and stuff like that, but they don't have a huge sporting goods section and stuff. So some may not even do it at all anymore. So, and in certain areas they may, and they made the choice and this is what they're going to stick with. And look, in this day and age, hey, you know what? It's their business. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. If there's repercussions, I also think they're looking at Dick's and going, Dick's sporting goods, they took a bit of a hit at first. But if you look, I mean, they didn't die, right? They didn't die because of it, if you will. Their stock didn't die. They actually beat expectations on the streets. So can they survive without it? And I think you weigh all the options in this day and age, and I think that's what they did. And they said, you know what? This might be the thing that we do now. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You tweet at us. Do love hearing from all of you. Hey. My Pillow, man. So I was off 5 days, and it was just the most amazing time. It was just relaxing, not even listen to politics and the BS, and it was great. And naps were huge. And I tell you what, My Pillow, thank you so very much. I caught up with sleep, and I just feel just so refreshed. And I've got a ton of stuff from My Pillow, and it's time for you too. And they're doing something just so incredible. So you go to MyPillow.com and you can check out everything they have, right? Make sure you use my code Benson, right? They got a listener special. You click on the radio listener special, use my code Benson. But right now you can save up to 50% on MyPillow's mattress toppers, bed sheets, everything, right? Everything, including, get ready for this. They've got this body pillow. Normally it's $90 for you. $29.99 with promo code Benson. It is incredible. 60-day money-back guarantee. They're putting their money where their mouth is. and there's a 10-year warranty. You've got nothing to lose. Now is the chance you're going to save huge. Call 800-983-4975. Use the promo code Benson, or go to mypillow.com, mypillow.com. Look for the radio listener specials. Click on it. Up to 50% off everything they have, and even a bigger savings with the body pillow for only $29.99, regularly $90. Enter promo code Benson or call 800-983-4975. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
The search and rescue operation is now officially search and recovery.
Sadly, no additional survivors have been found.
Santa Barbara County Sheriff Bill Brown says they've been able to recover 20 bodies. Several others have been spotted in and around the wreckage of the sunken boat.
Today, efforts will be made to stabilize the boat so that divers can safely enter it, search it, and recover additional victims.
The death toll will likely go up to 34. Still no word on the cause of the fire.
Yeah, it is awful if you haven't seen it. So you've got the MV Conception, a boat that has taken 75 feet long, that has taken some 400,000 plus divers out to the Channel Islands up there in Ventura and Santa Barbara. On the backside of the island, not too far offshore, a massive fire, 34 people dead. 34. Everybody on board, minus 5 people in the crew. They had no chance. Zero. And Bill Brown, the sheriff, said that it looks like a good portion of them just it was the worst. It wasn't smoking because it went so fast, the fire. And the question is, how did it happen? Why could nobody get out? Why could nobody get out of that boat at all? And it holds more than what was on there. And a lot of these rooms are small. They're usually, you go out, and this place out there in the Santa Cruz Islands is an amazing place to dive. It is beautiful. It is world renowned. And it's one of these things where people will go overnight and they'll do several different dives, some night dives, some morning dives in and around these islands. And you see tons of marine life and whatnot. And they weren't too far offshore. I mean, literally like a stone's throw. But it was just too quick. And the questions are going to be asked. How in God's name did this happen? What could have happened? Because you almost had to think to yourself, wasn't an explosion, right? Because the company that runs this has others. They've got a great track record. Anytime there's been anything, and the things that have been brought to people's attention when they've come in and inspected these boats are very minimal, and they check them out really quick, and they say, you got to do this, and then they've done that. And so, I mean, it's, 34 people are gone. But in many of these cabins, it is more than a few people, and there's bunk beds, and you're inside of there. And again, it's 75 feet, which sounds like a massive ship. It's really not. But it's just devastating. It really is. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well as you hear. Check out the Instagram as well. Zero patience. I'm talking about that throughout the show with the new study out that says we, on average, wait 16 seconds for a web page to load up before we get frustrated. 25 seconds is how long we'll wait at the light before we get frustrated if it doesn't turn. And God, let's just hope there's not a train, because, oh, my goodness me, that'll just... I can see it, though. In the day and age that we live, we have zero patience for anything, and that includes each other, for God's sakes. We don't have any patience for each other. 323-538-2423. Update on Dorian. Kate Stienle. You remember her? We're going to touch on what happened to her and the person that was part of her death. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Here in Brevard County, this area is under a hurricane warning right now. The outer bands of Hurricane Dorian beginning to move through with heavy rain. Evacuation warnings are up in some areas. The streets are empty. Buildings are boarded up. This man says now it's waiting for Dorian to arrive.
It's spooky to all. The tension here is just all in the air. It's everywhere.
Now, if the forecast track is right, the eye of Dorian will make a very, very close pass by here sometime tomorrow afternoon as a Category 3 storm.
So now, 2, potentially a 1, maybe tropicals. We don't know. You don't know when it's going to get there, what it's going to look like. But Dorian's coming. Massive storm. It just absolutely crushed the Bahamas. 5 people confirmed dead. And it leveled it. It looked like Hiroshima. I mean, it was just nothing there, and they've reached out to us.
Facing utter devastation in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, the Bahamas has requested humanitarian assistance from the United States. A State Department official says a team of experts from USAID will arrive soon to assess the damage. The team will quickly assess what assistance the U.S. can provide and where it should go. That could mean that U.S. military aircraft and personnel could play a role in transporting assistance to devastated islands. Louis Martinez, ABC News, Washington.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it's a good thing that we're out there doing what we're doing and helping them. What's it going to look like for us? How's the politics play out of it? Because that's the way politics plays, kids. They're going to play this game, and we're going to sit there. Well, Trump golfed. Don't care. I don't care. I care about what's going on locally, right? Well, Trump golfed. Again, I don't care. I want to know what's going on locally. How are they handling it? What are they doing? How are the responses as they get themselves ready? Is everything set up the way it's supposed to be, right? Do we have the money that is going to be needed? Do we have everything that is lined up the way it's supposed to be? And if that goes south, right? Let's be real. If everything goes the way that some people think and it comes in as a Category 2 or even a 3 or a tropical storm, it dumps tons of rain. It does God knows how much in damage. But everything's set up in such a way that they minimize the damage and they're able to quickly turn things around, then who cares whether or not he golfed or not? Well, I do, because it matters. It doesn't matter. What matters is everything set up the way it's supposed to be. If that all gets handled correctly, and he didn't, and he golfed, and hey, we're just thinking, well, it got handled. If he didn't golf and everything goes to hell in a handbasket, then what? Was it because he golfed? But that's the politics of it all. Plus, he's just, oh, sweet Jesus.
It's tremendously big and tremendously wet. Tremendous amounts of water.
One of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Nobody's ever seen anything this long, and nobody's ever seen this much water.
That was a rain-soaked hurricane. That was a lot of water.
There's no edge to this big monster. It's almost like a big tornado.
Essentially, a tornado that was massively wide. Palm trees are hit by hurricanes. With them, it's like ho-hum. You ever see everything's gone except the palm? Because they've been hit by hurricanes for 2 million years, and they see a hurricane coming, and they just go boom, boom. You ever see it? Boom, boom. You can't knock those suckers over.
It looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
He's just, oh my God. And there is a reason they have palm trees. Everybody knows this, right? Palm trees are designed to what? They're designed to bend all the way down. They could touch the ground and they'll come back up. There's a reason that they're on certain islands and where they grow and the way they do things, because they can withstand. Maybe we should build houses out of palm trees. Maybe. I don't know. Just makes me laugh just listening to him. It's got a lot of rain. That rain is wet. That's a very wet rain right there. Did you guys get that? It's a very wet rain. That rain is super wet. I just want you guys to understand how wet that rain is. It's just very wet. It's just sometimes the rain's a little wetter than normal. Sometimes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. With all the talk of sanctuary cities, and there's plenty of them, there was an incident that really started and became something very big when Trump was running for president. It involved a young woman by the name of Kate Stienle in San Francisco who was killed by somebody who was not supposed to be here, who had been deported on numerous occasions, and it became a very big situation. Trial was set up the whole 9 yards.
There is breaking news into Fox News Channel and a stunning decision coming out of San Francisco involving the man who was accused of killing Kate Stienle. Remember Kate Stienle? She's the San Francisco woman who was shot and killed at the Embarcadero in San Francisco, and she was allegedly killed by the man on the right side of the screen. He is Jose Garcia Zarate.
All right, so she's killed. She's in the Embarcadero, hanging out with her family. She's shot. She's killed. 5 times he was supposed to be deported. 5 times. Trial goes on. He's found not guilty. As I was explaining to people out there, I understood why they found him not guilty. I didn't think he meant to kill her. I think he had a gun, and we could debate how he got the gun, the whole nine. We could debate all of those things. But it was like a double ricochet. He's not a trick shooter, right? He's not. He's an idiot who shouldn't have been here, and San Francisco allowed him to be here and played the game. We'll touch on that in a second. But he did get convicted of one thing. Or wait.
Well, he was declared innocent in her killing, not guilty in killing Kate Stienle. That was a trial that happened in San Francisco that we covered extensively. Well, now, a California state appeals court has now thrown out the only remaining conviction against Zarate, which is that the gun that he had, the gun charge, was not valid because a judge failed to instruct the jury about his defenses.
So the judge said no. They screwed up, right? So he got nothing. Remember, 5 times. 5 times he was deported. Was in jail for a few other things. They had a warrant to come and get him because he was not supposed to be here, and they were going to make him leave. But we live in a world of BS, political correctness, and sanctuary cities, and we're going to protect the people that don't need protecting. This guy didn't need protecting.
So it's a technicality. So not only is he found not guilty of the death of Kate Stienle, he is now found not guilty of the gun charge that led to the death of Kate Stienle. She was walking in the Embarcadero with her dad. She was shot and killed. And the man on your right found a gun, he said. The defense said that he stole it. The gun, he said, accidentally went off. The defense said that he was handling it and it went off.
That true? I don't know. Again, it was a ricochet. So I think it ricocheted twice, if I can remember correctly, and it hit her and she died. The point being, though, is he should never have been there. That's the big point. He should never have been there. And sanctuary cities and states across the country are allowing people who, look, you know, we hear this all the time when it comes to illegal immigration, right? We want to get the bad people out. We all can stand up and say we want to get the bad people out. Yet we're not going to cooperate with ICE or any of these things that are out there because we don't want good people being caught up. Well, when you have somebody like this who's in a situation where he's been deported 5 times, they've got a warrant for his arrest, and his ass should never have been here, but you want to play this game. Guess what? San Francisco and any other place across the country that participates in this, where you want to make sure that you're virtue signaling and look at us and we're letting somebody out that shouldn't be out because we disagree with ICE and the way things are run, and something happens, your asses should be held accountable.
Here's the bottom line. He had been deported 5 different times. And the 5th time, they were about to deport him again, but the San Francisco local authorities would not turn him over to Immigrations and Customs Enforcement because of sanctuary city laws, and Kate Stienle ended up losing her life.
That's right. 5 times. He said it. I've said it. 5 times. They're coming to get him. Hey, you've got a scumbag who's in jail again, who's already been popped. He's already been in trouble on numerous occasions. Hold him. We're coming to get him. And I'm not talking about somebody who had a DUI. I'm not talking about somebody who got caught with a little bit of weed. I'm talking about people that have been deported. I'm talking about people that have orders to get out of here. I'm talking about those things. And you allow these things to happen. You know what? Your ass should be held accountable. You should be held accountable. You. Politicians that play this game. Absolutely. You should be held accountable. You want to play this game? And then you get mad when ICE and immigration goes out and they start taking into custody people who are like, well, you shouldn't do that. That person mows your lawn or they clean your house or you shouldn't be doing that. They're not. Well, you know what? You don't want me to fish in this pond over here where the bad people are. And just like a lot of people out there who are on both sides of the aisle, we can all agree there's just a certain group of people that come here. They were bad news where they're from, wherever they're from. And here they're no different. And we shouldn't have to flip the bill to keep them in prison or see them out on the streets. They should go. But if you tell people you can't fish here anymore, you can't be here anymore, you can't participate, you can't do any of that, no, because we're virtue signaling, then you know what, politicians, your asses should be held accountable. This guy got nothing. 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 And people should be pissed. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. Posted something funny on the old Instagram. This is where the kids go nowadays, the Instagram. Saw a great article talking about selfies. Because you go on Instagram, right? And I'm always laughing at people and the pictures and stuff. Like, I'm always laughing. I'm like, so wait a minute here. Who did you get to come shoot you? And not shoot you with a gun, but like photograph you. That's probably a better way to put it. Like where you're out in the middle of, like a cotton field or, dandelions, or you're hanging off the side of a fire truck and there's this I'm always amazed, It's like, really? Where did you get that? Who has that time? But they said that people who take selfies, their self-esteem is less. They used to think it was narcissism, but they did this huge study saying it's not narcissism. No, it's people who have low self-esteem, and the more selfies you take, the more that they say not only you have less self-esteem, but you're also less successful. I was like, oh, I could see that. Because you're looking for something. Lonelier. I could see that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I work with an amazing organization called Wounded Paw Project. Their motto is to save a paw, to save a life. And that's what they do. They save a paw first. They find dogs that it would be euthanized. They rescue them and take them from shelter dogs to service dogs. And they get them to the people needing them. 20 veterans a day commit suicide. You've got first responders and their families who are struggling with PTSD. And sometimes having an animal like a shelter dog or any dog, but specifically a dog that's been trained to be a service dog in your life changes everything. And that's what the founder found out when he was struggling. Nothing seemed to work. And then a dog came into his life and it changed everything. And he's like, I got to do this. And it is amazing. But it's not cheap and it's not easy. And they need your help. They do. I need you to donate. I don't care if it's cash or truck, RV, whatever it is. You can get an amazing tax-deductible gift. But just to see that the way they work with these animals and how they truly save a paw to save life is incredible. And what it does, not only for the person that's receiving the animal or the family, but also the animal themselves, the dog, is incredible. Check it out right now. Go to woundedpawproject.org. See for yourself. Take action. Turn that extra truck, RV, whatever you have, into a vehicle for change. And they also take cash. WoundedPawProject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729 or WoundedPawProject.org. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable. This is Chad Benson.
The group of customers at a Popeye's Chicken in Texas taking matters too far Monday night, police say, demanding chicken sandwiches at gunpoint. Houston police say witnesses described 2 women with a baby and 3 men who rushed the door. One man, police say, brandished a gun after being told in the drive-thru they were all out.
One of the males became enraged, pulled a pistol, demanded a chicken sandwich. The manager repeated they were out. The several suspects did fled the location.
Police say the suspect faces possible aggravated assault charges.
Yeah, I had to be honest with you guys. Arby's has the best chicken sandwich right now, period. Drop the mic. And it's their slider. It's their barbecue chicken slider. You get that, otherworldly. Blows everything else away. They have the meats, and apparently they have the meats of chicken. They do. We have the meats. So you go through the drive-thru, right? So here you are going through the drive-thru. You're in the drive-thru. In the drive-thru, they don't have what you want. In the car, there are 3 of you plus a child. You decide to leave said baby in the car because you are so upset about what has taken place that you're about to go pop a cap because they don't have your chicken. What is in this chicken that is so vitally important? I'm just curious about said chicken. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Speaking of chicken, Pete Buttigieg.
What about Chick-fil-A? You like Chick-fil-A?
I do not approve of their politics, but I kind of approve of their chicken. So maybe if nothing else, I can build that bridge. Maybe I'll become in a position to broker that peace deal.
Talking Pete Buttigieg, for those you don't know, is gay. Chick-fil-A believes in what they call traditional marriage, so doesn't agree with that. I've got several friends that are gay, and they'll say, look, you know what? I don't really care because the chicken is so good, I'll eat it there. So it is what it is.
We've got to find a way to use our identities to reach other people. To me, there's 2 things can happen when you are conscious of. One is it turns into all these ways we separate, and it just turns into one big you don't know. But the other way we can do it is we can say, okay, I've got this experience, you've got that experience. What can we talk about that brings us? What do we have?
Yeah, that's a great idea, but we don't do that anymore because too busy shouting at each other, right? I don't like you because you wear a MAGA hat and you voted for Trump, so it means you're evil and bad. And the other side is, I don't like you because you wanted to vote for Hillary Clinton, and it means you want to take everything away from me, and you are just a snowflake. And that's a bunch of crap because, again, the exhaustive majority, which is the majority of us, don't feel that way. The difference is, though, is we don't have the opportunity because we're too busy busting our ass and working and doing everything else to actually, have that bully pulpit that we should. We don't have somebody who's in Washington, who is on television 24/7. We need somebody. Just look, here's the deal. We don't want you to do anything other than go on every single show and tell everybody what a bunch of clowns everybody else is. That's all we want, right? Just tell us the truth. That's what we need. We need to elect somebody that we can send to D.C. that can also nudge their way in, push their way in, fight their way in, grab the bullhorn from somebody, get on their bully pulpit, and start saying, you know what, these people are nuts. Both sides. It's a game. You guys are getting played. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. I like Chick-fil-A. I've never had Popeyes. They're sold out, so I'm not even going to try to go there. And if I know that there's going to be a gunplay outside chicken, I don't think I'd get it. But Arby's, I'm telling you guys, it's otherworldly. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The strongest wind and rain look like they'll hit this area overnight, but the eye of Dorian is now tracking about 100 miles out at sea from Melbourne, so the impacts here are expected to be fairly minimal. It will get windy, but not to a point where a whole lot of damage is expected anymore. Right now it's breezy, mainly dry, cloudy, with Dorian passing by. So far it's been a relatively easy ride for folks here in Melbourne.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Could hit further up the coast. Could be some people not expecting it to hit. You don't know in a situation like this. Here's the weird thing, though. I mean, growing up in Southern California my whole life and lived there and lived all over, but it's you just don't know, right? Like with this. But you know it's coming, so you can prepare for it, right? You don't know. You kind of know the weather you're looking for when it comes to tornadoes and what could essentially lead to a tornado. And at the same time, like earthquakes, there's nothing. It's like, there's not like, hey, there's going to be an earthquake on Tuesday. Like, there's an earthquake. You don't feel it because there's so many of them. They're so small. You don't feel any of them. But one that would, there's no preparing for it. Even if you could, right? Like, what happens? Even if they said, hey, guess what? Next Tuesday sometime, we're going to have an earthquake. What do? You don't board anything up, do you? I don't know. But for Dorian, you're getting ready. And you just don't know because it may miss. Right? It's not like, oh, yeah, check it out. There was going to be an earthquake on the San Andreas fault line, but it moved up the coast a little bit. And instead of getting Southern California, it's going to get Central California. Like, oh. Right now, nothing, except if you're in the Bahamas. If you're in the Bahamas, you are feeling it. And now the question is, where does it go from here? And what's it look like? Because that eye of the storm is crazy.
The forecast track for the hurricane takes it roughly parallel to the coast, about 50 miles offshore, and on that track, hurricane force winds will come right up to the coast. If the track is off a little or the storm grows a little more, then hurricane force winds will indeed come ashore. Even on this track, tropical storm force winds will be expected from roughly Palm Beach or northward from there all the way up the coast to the Carolinas later in the week.
And I have a feeling it's one of the, just this is a feeling, I think it's going to miss a good portion of Florida and smash into the Carolinas, which is going to be, again, crazy, right? All the thought, all the getting ready, all the preparedness, all of that stuff. By the way, there are 3 more storms apparently forming out there behind. So this could get ugly. And again, the Bahamas just absolutely obliterated. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Remember the border wall? Well, guess what? Apparently they're doing stuff with money and whatnot.
Defense Secretary Mark Esper has approved the diversion of $3.6 billion in military construction spending that will go towards the building of 175 miles of border wall. The first $1.8 billion will come from overseas projects, then the other half from projects stateside. A total of 127 projects were selected to divert to wall funding, but no housing construction will be affected. Congress will be notified on Wednesday which projects in their districts will be affected.
Yeah, so this will be interesting to see how this goes. And everybody's going to throw a fit, and Congress is back, and now they got to start looking at, okay, well, what are we going to do? We're all back here, and we're going to, we've got a lot of stuff. We're going to impeach Trump. We're not going to impeach Trump. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to spend the next several months investigating everything in the world when it comes to Trump, getting close enough to impeachment, kind of like the storm, but not really doing it, but making sure that people understand what's going on. All the while, I don't think anything else is really going to happen. They're going to argue and fight. They're going to get out there and say, "Meh," and it's going to be exactly what it is. Business as usual in the world of politics. That's it.
What comes next, whether we actually see any major changes here, depends largely on the president. Republican lawmakers are looking to him for guidance and some political cover, but the president is sending mixed messages. He is promising some kind of action, but right now it is unclear what steps he's actually willing to support. After the shootings in Dayton and El Paso, the president pushed for meaningful background checks, but since then he seems to be backtracking. He said this shooting over the weekend hasn't really changed anything.
Yeah, so, and Mitch McConnell says, well, okay, I'll sign something if Trump guarantees me he can, and he will sign it. So we'll pass something, right, if he promises to sign it. No, right? Look, here's the reality is Mitch is going to do what? Pretend? Oh, yeah, we'll listen to some stuff. But if I'm Mitch McConnell, right, and I know a lot of people out there hate Mitch. I get it, I mean, well, you make fun of Mitch all the time. Oh, it's Mitch McConnell. But if you go and pass something, there's no guarantee Trump's going to sign it. He's Trump. He may say I'm going to sign it up until the point where he said, I decided I don't want to sign it. I don't have any pens. You don't have any pens? Nah. I'm going to go golfing. I mean, it's just, it is what it is, right? That's Trump in a nutshell. So I get that. And would there have been anything at all that would have changed? That I don't know. Because the reality is this guy he was denied already once. He was denied a gun, and yet he still got one.
The gunman was federally prohibited from possessing a weapon due to mental illness. But ABC News has learned exclusively he evaded that ban by purchasing his AR-style rifle in a private sale.
And that's what people need to look at. How does that work? What do you do? Right? Are there ways of going about? Let's talk about it. right? Are there ways of going about doing it when it comes to private sales? There probably is, and it's probably not that hard. But because there's politics involved, it makes everything 10 times harder, right? We talk about it all the time here. You spill a glass of milk, they spill a glass of milk. The milk, somebody else that is not even participating, the wind blows over a glass of milk. They can spend days, weeks, and years arguing over that glass of milk. Who spilled it? Whose idea was it to spill it? How did it get spilled? Who's going to clean it up? How's it going to get paid? When the reality is somebody goes, well, it's pretty simple. Why don't you go get napkins, right? I'll pick up the glass. You can hand me the napkins. I will clean it up. And then you could throw this stuff away. It's not hard. But then I want credit for it. No, I want credit for it. Well, I don't like the way you did it. Well, it's politics. So, yeah, is there a way, I think, of going about private sales and doing some stuff? I think there is. I think it's not that hard. If you sit back and go, well, how can we do this with guns? Well, I don't know. We put men on the moon. I think we could figure something out. Yeah, I think we could. In a day and age of technology, absolutely we could. But will we? No, we won't. Why? Because we don't want to get rid of the politics of it all on either side. We don't. We're so into the politics of this that to give it up would be, could not do that. Could not. Wouldn't want to. Wouldn't want to give up those politics. There's too much in it for everybody. Too much money raising, too much reacting against other people, right? You don't want to give up the opportunity to go all Beto O'Rourke, right, and get on one of your talking head shows and drop this.
The rhetoric that we've used, the thoughts and prayers that you just referred to, it has done nothing to stop the epidemic of gun violence, to protect our kids, our families, our fellow Americans in public places, at a Walmart in El Paso, in Sutherland Springs, in a church, 1 or 2 a day all over this country, 100 killed daily in the United States of America. We're averaging about 300 mass shootings a year. No other country comes close. So, yes, this is f***ed up.
Ooh. There's too much politics in that. Beto don't want to give that up. None of them do. They all say they want to. But it's not hard to come up with. I got some ideas on what we could do, right? Through technology, in private sales, in certain things. There's absolutely a ton of things that we could do. But will we? No. Because the politics is too great to give up. And when you're addicted to politics and the power, you're not going to give that up. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. See, what else would she have to talk about?
Corruption is what keeps Congress from doing the people's business. The overwhelming majority of Americans want to see us take sensible gun safety regulations. They want to see us change the laws. And that's true, by the way. The majority of gun owners want to see us change the laws, right? Come on.
Yeah, except for one thing. People don't trust you. That's it. People don't trust you. In general. People don't. Because you have your own agenda. You play to your own base. And at some point in time, you're going to say, I'm going to do this, when really you go out and do something like that. Whether it's if you like your doctor, you keep your doctor, whatever it is. There's a bigger story. And nobody trusts you. Nobody does. Zero. Meghan McCain said today, what? If you try to take people's guns, there will be violence. Absolutely. You come and try to take everybody's guns? Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a mandatory buyback. Feels like you're taking people's guns. Right? That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And nobody trusts you. Right? Nobody trusts you guys to do the right thing. Because every year you say you need this, when the last year is the last year you said you need this, and then you get this, and then you find out, well, we need more of this, or we need more. You give an inch. You don't even try to take a foot or a yard. You take a mile, and that's the fear that people have with government. And I don't blame them. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Little what's trending straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I love hearing from people. It's interesting. There's a certain sense of disdain that people have for Trump. And I get it, right? Like, he's not my favorite person. Why don't you talk bad about him? Because all I care about is actions. I don't care about words, right? Words mean nothing. Action is the only thing that matters. Action is the only thing that matters. If you talk all day and you do nothing about it, then all it is talk. It's just noise. That's it, period. And some people out there, I'm just always amazed. You know, they'll text me and they'll say, he's this or he's that. Look, I care about action. Like, what is your action? What promises have you kept? And you're not going to keep every promise. No politician is ever going to keep every promise. If they keep one or two, you'd be like, well, they did a pretty good job, right? That's it. If you keep one or two, yes, he did all right. She did all right. That's it. Because you're just one piece of something. There's so many other cogs in the wheel and just stuff that you see and stuff that you don't see. But sometimes I'm always amazed just how, don't let Trump live in your head. Don't. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to declare himself king. It's just not. I was telling the guys off the air, I got some friends who just love Trump, right? Some of it's because of the trolling and they think it's funny. But, if you go and look, as far as voting and stuff that he's done, it's fairly conservative kind of line that he's done. But I will tell you guys this. If he said, I'm suspending the Constitution, declaring myself king, they'd be the first ones to go, come on, we're going to go to D.C. and sort this out because this isn't happening. It isn't. There's this feeling that, he should... No, he's P.T. Barnum, right? He's Robert Ripley. And you go in there and go, well, that wasn't all it was cracked up to be, right? That's a lot of what he is, because he's a showman above anything else. And that's what he runs with. Don't let him live inside your head. That's all I'm saying.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? What is trending? In this crazy world that we live in. Dorian's doing really well. Isn't it great? Dorian has no idea how well Dorian's doing. Zero idea. Ariana Grande's trending because she's suing Forever 21, and not because she thought, the clothes are I buy these clothes and magically they're going to keep me Forever 21. No, because she said that their spinoff that they poached, they're using some of her lyrics in some of their marketing. Plus, they've got a lookalike that is part of their models. Look, if you look like her, what else are you supposed to do? It's like, I got to stay inside because I kind of look like her. NRA and Walmart trending because of Walmart's decision today to say, we're going to stop selling some of this ammunition. We're going to stop doing that. We're going to stop. Boris Johnson, which sounds like a great villain. Oh, watch out for Boris Johnson. He's the worst. Is trending because it looks like there's going to be here's how crazy, for all of the craziness that we live in, and all of this stuff, think about this. They voted on Brexit 50 years ago. It seems that long. They still haven't sorted it out. It cost Theresa May her gig. Boris Johnson has been there for about 30 seconds, and now he may be out already. They just moved the animals in to 10 Downing Street the other day. That's their essentially their White House for the Prime Minister. They just moved the critters in, and already he may be gone. Something else trending is Kristen Stewart, who said she was told by an executive that she would get a Marvel movie, but she needs to not hold hands with her girlfriend in public, which is stupid, right? She shouldn't get a Marvel movie because she's awful, not because she holds hands with a girl in public. She is. She's horrible. You ever watched any of those movies, right? The Twilight movies, and think to yourself, she's just the worst actress ever. You ever watch that and think to yourself, you know what? If that's what being a vampire is, I don't want to be a vampire. And I sure in the hell don't want to be an Abercrombie and Fitch werewolf, which is what the werewolves were. Right, weren't they? It was like, why do the werewolves have no shirts on and cut-off jean shorts and combat boots? And they're all oiled up. We're werewolves. Yeah, I don't know about that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Your love, your hate, your kindness. It's all good, kids. We're family here. Speaking of that, Eric McCormick and Deborah Messing decided they were going to do some stuff to people who don't have, quote-unquote, their beliefs. They were coming after him. We're going to touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We are introducing legislation that would end all medical debt in this country. And the bottom line is, it is an insane and cruel system which says to people that they have to go deeply into debt or go bankrupt. Because of what? Because they came down with cancer, or they came down with heart disease, or they came down with Alzheimer's or whatever. This is something we're working on and we will introduce.
If they came down with cancer and heart disease because it's poor education. That's what I heard earlier on the Chad Benson Show. Oh, you guys, cancer apparently has overtaken heart disease is number one. And one of the things I said, one of the factors is poor education. I'm like, not quite sure where we're going with that one, but whatever. But how do you eliminate all debt? So we're getting rid of all college debt. We're getting rid of all medical debt. We're getting rid of all, I'm just curious of how do we pay for all of the stuff that we're getting rid of? Because somebody's going to be going, wait a minute here. You decided to eliminate everybody's debt. I'm the debt holder. I fronted you this. I worked at this. I built this. What are you giving me? Well, I'm going to give you an amount that I came up with that I think is fair. That's not fair, is what that person's going to say. That's not fair. It's not. But we're going to eliminate it. Bernie, I love it, man. It's like you're the leprechaun, right? You're the leprechaun that shows up. Little Warwick Davis, but you're Bernie. And you show up and you're like, I got a great idea. Everybody, everything's free. Take what you want. It's on somebody else. He's the guy that buys the beer on somebody else. I'll get around. Who wants it? Jim's paying for it. But it's on me. Because of Jim. Because of Nancy. Because of Sally. Because of them. There we go. I'm excited for the magic. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Over the weekend, or my little break, I was enjoying the fact that I didn't have to sit here and play the political game and listen to a bunch of crap. And I saw something very interesting about Deborah Messing and the Will and Grace stars who tweeted out basically they wanted to go after people who either supported Trump or who, that you don't want to work with anymore in Hollywood because they have a different viewpoint. And it is so funny I just sit there and I shake my head, right? I'm like, well, wait a minute here. What are you doing, right? Wait, you want to do what? She tweeted out, please print a list of all attendees. The public has a right to know. Okay. A right to know what? That you have a difference of opinion compared to you? Right? A right to know what? Right? A right to know that somebody else has a conservative view over your liberal view, But no, it wasn't about that. You want a right to know so you guys can not work with them again, so you can come after anybody. You can dox them. You can do whatever you want to do because you don't like having somebody have a differing opinion than you. You are the least diverse group of people while screaming you're the most diverse. And by the way, for those of you, I grew up in Hollywood. Grew up in and around there. A good majority of my friends are actors and actresses and directors, and they work in Hollywood. And I will tell you, not as diverse, a lot of virtue signaling, but off the record, you'd be surprised what people actually say. This is John O'Hurley. You'll hear his voice. You go, oh, that guy who was a conservative talks about some of the stuff that goes on out there and reacting to Deborah Messing and what she said.
I'm embarrassed for both of them. And I'll say this because I know them both, and I've worked with Deborah before. They're both smart people. They do wonderful work. But they're pushing a case that falls apart from the sheer weight of its lunacy, as though the Hollywood community needs to be purged of this social and intellectual hygiene problem called conservative thinking. It underscores the fact that we aren't receptive to diversity of thought, which is the exact opposite of what you feel the liberal way would be.
Yeah. And by the way, Whoopi Goldberg on the first day of The View today trashed them. Saying, you don't have a right to say this. What are you thinking? Because there are people out there that really believe that, hey, if you have a differing of opinion, I have a right to do everything I can to destroy you and your life. I have a right to do that. For years, you guys remember? McCarthy hearings, there's Reds in Hollywood, all this kind of stuff. They want to go back there. They want to show what real fashion is, the authoritarianism is. They want to show you, hey, look at us. Because we live in a cancel culture. And that's exactly what they want to do, is they want to cancel you out. These same people are screaming for people that are in prison for violent offenses to have a second chance at life. But if you support somebody that they don't believe in ideologically, that you should be destroyed. Your life should be canceled. You should have to go off in the corner and never be heard from again. And it's embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing that both she and Eric McCormick, who's, Will and Grace, we're going after people because they have a differing opinion. It's a joke. I have never in my life chosen anybody who's in my life, who's a friend in my life, based on their religion or whether they lack any kind of belief at all, based on their politics, the color of their skin, what they identify or don't identify. I don't care less. I care less about any of that stuff. Who are you as a human being, right? That's it. That's it. That's where diversity starts, right? In your mind. It's not any of those other things.
It's very difficult to be a conservative in Hollywood because you really do feel, even though there are many of us, you do feel like you're an island fighting the storm. It stops the notion of that artistic expression really is the act of the infinite possibility. All viewpoints must be observed and respected. So at the same time we are supporting free thinking, we also have to support free receptors, people that will allow other ideas to infect them.
Yeah. And what's the free thinking? Being able to look across, and this is for the right too, and the left. Can you look across the political aisle in this world of tribalism and say to self, I don't have to agree with you, but that's just a part of you. I can see it from your point of view. I want you to see it from my point of view. And we may not agree at all. We may even find out that we agree on some things, but let's just at least talk. Let's not shout over each other. Let's be open with being able to hear. And we're at that point we can't. And some people are so caught up and lost their freaking mind. I couldn't even imagine that. I couldn't even imagine somebody coming up to me going, you supported Trump on this issue, so I can never be your friend again. I'm like, well, first of all, we were never really friends then, right? Just like if I came up, I couldn't even imagine going up to somebody and go, hey, you know what? You voted for Hillary, or you voted for Bernie, so I could never be your friend. I'm like, whatever. That's good. That's your right. You had your reasons. Don't know what they are, but you did. So there you go.
Some of the best conversations I ever had on the Seinfeld set were with Michael Richards, who thinks totally differently than I do. But I couldn't wait to present him with an issue or something because I was always interested in his perspective on it, and I was always fascinated. My dearest friend Bryan Cranston, another liberal thinker, certainly opposite to me, he and I can sit for hours discussing an idea. And I love that. I cherish that, not with the premise of trying to convince each other.
There you go. And that's part of it. Because we want, not only we live in a world where we can't even see from the other side of somebody's political belief or something on an issue, we want to change. I don't want to change. I want to know what's going on. Why do you see it that way? Because you probably know something or have heard some things that I have no idea about. Right? And I may have answers to some questions that you think you have answers to, only to find out that you've been sold somewhat of a bill of goods and you haven't got the whole story. But I don't want to convince. I just want to give everybody, hey, look, this is what it is, right? People ask me all the time, where do you get your stuff from? Today I had somebody tweet at me and says, Chad, where do you find all your stuff? And I said, man, I'm all over the place. I'll read a Huffington Post and a Daily Kos, and I'll go over and read a Breitbart, put AP, Reuters, all of these things, and I try to put it all together as best as you can. But I don't want to convince anybody. I don't want anybody, sometimes I listen to some of these people and they build up a cult, right? Whether it's certain media personalities and whatever. And it is just about affirmation, not information, because nobody's serious about it. And we need to be more serious about listening to one another. And we're just not. And we need to be. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Dorian. Slowly but surely, cruising along.
Waves marching up the beaches as Hurricane Dorian sends a 4-foot storm surge to the East Coast. North of where I am in Wilmington, North Carolina, Jacob Usher is watching and is worried.
I am kind of hoping we don't repeat last year.
That's when Hurricane Florence inundated Wilmington with flooding rains that left the city an island. Back here in Florida, airports are closed and thousands of flights have been canceled. Power crews from around the country are now stationed at key locations near the coast.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. I mean, as it goes along, it's slowly but surely plotting its path, but because it's slow, you don't know what's going to happen. It could just stall out there and eventually dissipate. It could become a massive storm that drenches but doesn't bring it with it the high winds. It's a Category 2, and you just don't know. But I want to see what the reaction is going to be like from FEMA, from the president, from the locals and the powers to be. Because in the end, the people that will decide how your town goes about, how your municipality goes about, whether it's an earthquake or a tornado or a hurricane, is going to be your local. And how your local politicians and first responders handle this will say a lot. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You hear me, you're like, wow, Chad, you go. I got here extra early today. Do a lot of radio. Lots of shows. I'm going, play soccer, do all kinds of stuff. I try to take care of myself best I can. And you guys have heard me talk about Super Beats before, right? I used it for so long. It's incredible. But one of the things that and I've talked to them about in the past is the fact that you can't always take everything where you go, right? So sometimes you don't have the chance to make Super Beats with the powder. What they've done now, though, is amazing. They have these chewies, right? These little, amazing little chews that are just incredible. And what it does, let me tell you something. Beets have nitrates. Nitrates support better blood flow. Better blood flow equals what? Energy efficiency throughout the body. Yes, even healthy blood pressure. And I love these little chewies. Before I go work out, pop a couple of them, chew them down, boom, away I go. It is amazing. And now's your chance to get some. And they're incredible. Whether it is the Beets Chewies or whether you're going to go and get the original Super Beets, just a scoop right there, boom, and off you head. It is insane how good this is. It really is. Now's your chance to grab them. It's amazing what it can do again, I'm energy. That's what I am. I'm like Tigger, bouncing everywhere. Now's your chance. Try Super Beets risk-free, 90 days. Visit superbeetsradio.com/Chad. You're going to get a free 30-day supply, free shipping, free nitric oxide strips to test your nitric oxide levels with your first purchase, or call toll-free 800-875-9341. That's superbeatsradio.com/Chad or toll free 800-875-9341. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Got your useless fact. Oh, the day. Straight ahead, Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
For just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
See what Dorian does. Calling Dorian, Dorian, Dorian. Like Gloria. Like Gloria, but it's Dorian. Just burn the picture. Dorian will die. I've said that on 3 occasions. People are like, what are you talking about? Like, just read Dorian Gray. It's the picture. Keeps him alive. Keeps his youth. If you destroy the picture, hey, just never mind. Just trying to explain things to people. Just crazy. So Beto, who this week did this.
The rhetoric that we've used, the thoughts and prayers that you just referred to, it has done nothing to stop the epidemic of gun violence, to protect our kids, our families, our fellow Americans in public places, at a Walmart in El Paso, in Sutherland Springs, in a church, 1 or 2 a day all over this country, 100 killed daily in the United States of America. We're averaging about 300 mass shootings a year. No other country comes close. So yes, this is f***ed up.
Oh, so now he's capitalizing. He's selling shirts. I posted it at Chad Benson Show on the Twitter. You can check it out. Some on the Facebook as well. Right. And it got me thinking. If you guys remember who Brian Bosworth was, you won't, Producer Anthony, but obviously, Phil, you remember who the Boz was.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, the Boz was, he was a very run-of-the-mill linebacker, but he came with all the trappings of being a megastar, front cover of Sports Illustrated, the Boz. It was his rookie year, and this made me laugh so much because I could see Trump doing this. He said, so it's 1987, right? And if you guys don't know who the Boz was, just think he was roided out. He was massive. He was a linebacker for Oklahoma. He was like a mohawk. I mean, it was bad hair, bad clothes. It was everything. He was going to play in Denver. So it's 87. We're talking 22 years ago, whatever, like that. Something just like ridiculous, 30 years ago. He's going to play in Denver, his first game. And he says, I can't wait to get my hands on Elway's boyish face. That's what he told the media. He added he'd rather get penalized for a late hit than let Elway run out of bounds unscathed. Pissed off the fans in Denver. Just made him so angry. Shirts were bought that said, what's a Bosworth? Because his name is Bosworth. And everybody called him the Boz. Question mark. Nothing. That's what it said on the front. On the back, it says, ban the Boz. 10,000 shirts. People wearing them to the game. Just angry. And if you just looked at the label, it says Boz 44 Inc. He said it. He manufactured the shirts. He sold the shirts to the people. He said, we just wanted to prove how oxygen deprived Denver fans are because it's a mile high. He said it was $15 a piece. He made $150,000 and donated every penny to a children's hospital. But I think that's funny. Could you see Trump doing that? They sell all these shirts. Hey, look at this. Is Trump Inc. With Beto. Oh, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Your useless factoid the day as Dorian heads to maybe parts of Florida, maybe the Carolinas, whatever it's doing at a very slow pace. The biggest hurricane in the history of the United States as far as damage was the Galveston hurricane. Now, they didn't have a name back then. They just called it the Great Storm. It was 1900. Killed anywhere between 6,000 and 12,000 people, mostly through flooding. And get ready for this, caused $130 billion in damage. The average speed was about 146 miles an hour. Now you know. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your night. Go get yourself a taco, because it's Taco Tuesday. As always, night-night, Jack.
This is The Chad Benson Show.